Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if it's your first time here. We got a new video today, California backstabs fire victims from Actual Justice Warrior. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll get right into it today. And remember, it's free to subscribe, and you can unsubscribe at any time.
But the people are willing to clean out their own debris. It doesn't cost a lot.
Yes, and they can.
You should let them do it, because by the time you hire contractors, it's going to be 2 years.
If a family...
People are willing to get a dumpster and do it themselves and clean it out.
And they can.
There's not that much left. It's all incinerated.
That's right.
And, you know, it's just going to take a long time if you do.
It's all incinerated because of the city's leadership fucking sucks. The whole city's leadership needs to be scrubbed and replaced.
You can do some of it, but a lot of these people, I know that guy right there that's talking. I know my people. You'll be on that thing tonight, throwing the stuff away, and your site it'll look perfect within 24 hours, and that's what he wants to do. He doesn't want to wait around for 7 months till the city hires some demolition contract that's going to charge him $25,000 to do his lot. Yeah. I think you have emergency powers just like I do, and I'm exercising my emergency powers. You have to exercise them also.
I did.
Yeah. Here's one of my good examples here. This here is YouTuber Bitwit, Kyle. He lived right in the area that one of the fires happened, and while his house was, had flames heading towards this house, he was actually over at CES in Vegas doing his coverage over there when all of a sudden, here's because he had to pause his coverage, go home, and go back to finishing his coverage after getting home. Because, his house was in danger, and guess what? Back at his house was also his pet cats. They're fine. His girlfriend went in and got them out, and a few important documents as well. So thank you, girlfriend. She's amazing. I'm so happy that she was able to help him and make sure that everything's great for there. But since the fire, he's had so many different videos, and he even did this one after the lot was cleared and wiped clean. He fully made the decision that, he's going to have his house rebuilt as it was, and then he's going to sell it because, he doesn't want to deal with it anymore. Too many memories there. If you ever saw his channel, he had a whole ex-relationship that existed through that house. So he's got some memories there that I think he wants to leave behind, and I think that's great for him. But he is only fine because he got upsold like 2 or 3 months prior on this crazy home fire package that, had this not happened, it would have been a waste of money. But thank God someone went out there and sold him on this crazy package, because since then he is actually very well set to have his house rebuilt at very little cost to him, which he's still got a mortgage to pay, and there's no house to live in for that, so now he's paying a mortgage and rent somewhere, which, that's not great. But hey, at least in his position, he's in a better spot than the average Joe. So, that is a, step above the rest where, Trump is 100% right here. If someone wants to go in and clear their stuff out themselves and, pay their own way to do it, you should let them do it. You should not get in their way. And getting in their way, you should actually be charged with obstruction of them trying to just put their life back together. Like, hey, get out of their way. If they were police, it would be obstruction, I mean. That's where that part came from. My brain brought that early. Let's continue.
Because you have a very powerful emergency power, and you can do everything within 24 hours.
Yes. And if
she's not.
Want to clear out their property, they can.
At this point in the meeting, there was actually some stuff in place that did not allow people to do their own clearing. And that's also part of why the fires spread so easily.
Yes, but you know that you will be able to go back soon.
She is so stupid.
Of people
she is such a stupid mayor.
It's all burned. It's gone. It's done. Nothing's going to happen to it. It's not going to burn anymore. There's nothing to burn. There's almost nothing to burn.
Like, there were cars that I literally saw half the car melted in a fucking puddle of metal on the ground because the fires got so hot. He's right. There was nothing left. If it could have burned, it burned.
They want to go in. The people are all over the place. They're standing, and they say, why aren't you going in? We're trying to get a permit. And the permit's going to take them, everybody said 18 months. You said 18 months. You said 18 months.
Remember that exchange right there between President Trump and Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass about the disastrous rebuild prospects for people who lost their homes during the Pacific Palisades fire? Do you remember President Trump talking to Karen Bass about how she needs to accelerate the process and this idea that it would take 18 months for people to get their homes back after this fire was an absurd and arbitrary deadline, and she needed to accelerate that? Remember Karen Bass looking him dead in the face and telling the people
celebrating that
about the loss of their homes,
you can
that they
do
would
it.
not have to wait that long? Well, guess what? We are 11 months away from that particular video clip. We are 11 months away from the people who...
Meaning we're only 7 away from his 18 months, you said it'd take 18 months estimations.
Lost their homes in the Palisades fire.
And there are people who still don't have things clear.
Out there in the audience is give you updates on the progress of the rebuild, because according to Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass, they cut through all the red tape. They allowed people to build. They consolidated the permitting offices to make it easy for everybody to be able to get what they need to get ground broken on their new property. And yet there is comically few properties being built in the Palisades area, and it's really horrifying.
Phase 1, concurrently stacking with Phase 2. Phase 2 now stacking with the work the supervisor's done to expedite permits, one-stop shop, the state overlaying their efforts to expedite any waivers as it relates to some of the state impacts.
So, Julia, the governor makes it sound simple.
Yeah, but also remember, the governor is modifying, what is it, the California government building out there, and that thing is so over budget, it's costing more than the fucking renovations on the White House, which is insane.
But when you look at the organizational chart,
and that one's being funded by taxpayers, not
government agencies,
donors like the White House,
firms, and more. Is this becoming a case of
crazy?
And it's absolutely disgusting that Karen Bass right now is taking a victory lap over this piss poor job at a rebuild. So this is what we're going to talk about today. But before we do, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
You give me the money. Yeah.
Palisades. Today, LA has new numbers from the city of LA, and they really give us a better insight into how rebuilding is going more than 9 months after the Palisades fire.
NBC Morning's Brittany Hope is live in the Alphabet Streets neighborhood. And Brittany, I see that you have a guest there. Before we get to that interview, do you know how many homes are under construction right now?
Hey,
it should be.
So new numbers from the city this
if it's any less than 50% of the homes that were lost, it's too few.
morning. Nearly 300 homes in the Palisades.
300? What? 300. 300 homes. Let me go over here. Let me bring up Grok on Twitter here, just because he's an AI that's free. How many homes? Whoops, where'd the T come from? Were in the LA fires of 2025. Boom. Let's see. How many homes? Approximately 12,000 to 18,000 homes. Now, let me just pull out this handy dandy calculator out right here. And let's go. Let's split that number right down the middle. And we'll go with 15,000. 15,000 homes in, let's divide it by 300. Yeah, we're at about 5. Less than 5%, like 0.05, I think, is what the math will round down to. Oops.
officially started construction, and that includes Allison's home.
So you might be fooled from that local NBC affiliate segment on the rebuild
Nope,
at the Pacific
not with
Palisades,
my
because they sound
detail.
really impressed by the number of projects that are currently under construction in that area. As they say, nearly 300 of them have had ground broken in
It should be at minimum 3,000.
in the Palisades area, which would make you believe,
Multiply that by
if you were
10
listening
times.
to this and paying attention to the smiles of the newscasters, that the rebuild is well on its way, and basically it's ahead of schedule and under budget. When in reality, those nearly 300 homes that are currently under construction
And that's
pale
just
in
that
comparison
area.
to the level of damage that people suffered in the Palisades fire, as over 6,000 properties were completely destroyed by
Yeah, but the total number of destroyed structures increases to 16,000 when you combine the Palisades and Eaton fires. Eaton is where Bitwit Kyle, his house was. He was over in the Eaton fires, so yeah, it was pretty bad.
these fires. So we're talking about a celebratory news segment. This was from a month ago, so 10 months after the fire, about construction starting on less than 5% of the properties that were burned out. And again, Karen Bass was promising an accelerated permit process, and you only have 5% of the
My bad. There's your percentage of homes that are rebuilt, that means. 0.02! I did my math wrong.
people
So for any math people out there who were screaming at the screen a minute ago, you're welcome, I fixed it. My brain was bothered by the fact that I didn't have an exact number at first as well.
starting construction. But to make matters worse, Karen Bass also issued a statement prior to Thanksgiving about how the first certificate of occupancy was issued on November 21st of this year for the Palisades area, meaning that she was trying to celebrate that the rebuild is well on its way. However, when people looked into this particular home that got its certificate of occupancy, what they ultimately ended up figuring out is that the one home that is ready to be inhabited in the Palisades post the fire wasn't actually rebuilt in response to the fire. You see, the one property that has a certificate of occupancy
It was... No! That's great. It wasn't even a burned house that was rebuilt.
post the Palisades fire that was burned down by the Palisades fire was actually permitted for destruction and rebuild prior to the fire actually coming in. So for this particular Palisades property owner, the fire just served as a way for him to not pay for the demolition of his own property, and all of the permits and whatnot were gotten out of the way prior to the fire actually happening. And even then, it still took 10 months for this already permitted property to get from
By the way, sorry to interrupt him.
destroyed to rebuilt to certificate of occupancy, even though, again, Karen Bass was promising an accelerated permit process. And this is what is happening to a bunch of homeowners in the Palisades area. So while the local news media is showing us the positives, the good stories, the people who are having progress made on their property, make no mistake about it, the majority of people that lost their homes during the Palisades fire are not likely to see a rebuild even within that 18-month timetable that President Trump was warning about when he was talking to Karen Bass, and Karen Bass promised would not be the case because, again, California is just overloaded with rules and regulations, and of course, the Democratic politicians in and around this area, even though they promised to cut through the red tape, have done anything but, or maybe they did, but there's so much red tape, there's so many regulations that even with an accelerated process, this is the level of progress that we have. Now, you guys well know that this became personal for me when friend of the channel Devin Tracy told me that his parents' home, the home that they've had since the 70s, was actually burned down during the Palisades fire. We actually did a fundraiser in order to help his family get back on their feet post the fire because they lost everything. They lost their clothes, all of their shoes, all of the things that represent memories from decades past, and obviously it was so good of you guys out there in the audience to do what you can in order to help them out. And unfortunately, what I was hoping for, what I was thinking about every day since I learned that his family's home was lost during the Palisades fire is that
This aerial footage is just insane to see. Lot after lot after lot after lot. All the trees, everything in the area just gone, destroyed. So crazy.
That money would be able to keep them afloat as they wait on the insurance, as they wait on the potential ability to rebuild their property, try to get parts of their life back. But guess what? Because the process was so onerous, because it was so restrictive and costly and honestly oppressive and intentionally designed to be that way by the Democratic politicians.
I have a prediction here on that one, that it was designed this way so that they could wipe this land clear and have room for their Olympic stadium in a couple years. I think that's why they were doing this, is so they could have plenty of place to put it. Because as it sits, they don't have a place to put that Olympic stadium. They're going to be using something else, but that's not what the Olympics do. The Olympics builds for the Olympics, and then they usually tear it down, and it's kind of wasteful. But whatever. By the way, the amount of years it will take to rebuild all this, if they are only doing about 300 homes a year, about 50 freaking years is what it'll take. So there are some people who just lost their home at the start of this year that might be dead by the time. There are plenty of people who will be dead by the time their home's rebuilt at the current pace. California, you fucking suck. You need to get your shit together. This should be built back up within 5 years maximum, across the board, everything. You should be calling in crews from across the country. You should be bringing in people, giving companies extra money to pay employees or to pay crews from out of state to come in and help. You should be providing help. That's why we have a government, to help us in times of crisis, in times of need like this. That is why we pay into taxes. That is why we do all these things. We don't do it to line the pockets of politicians.
In the city of Los Angeles and in the state of California, they ended up selling their plot of land because guess what? They eventually need to get on with their lives. Obviously, they're elderly individuals. And, you can't really wait in limbo when you're
that's
at
what
that
California's doing. They're going to make everybody sell.
To that amount of time for your property to be rebuilt. You can't really just risk everything on the idea that California isn't going to California, when in reality, what they've shown time and time again is that they don't give a damn about the victims of wildfires. Again,
they really
there
don't.
have been other fires in other parts of California that were caused by...
If they actually gave a crap about the victims, they would have used ocean water to help put out the fires instead of going, oh, but the water will damage our equipment. It's like, hey, guess what the Navy does? They wash and repaint their stuff all the damn time. They scrub and clean and repair, replace, and maintain things. I'm sure any fire crew, if they went to the Navy and said, hey, what would you recommend us do to help clean off our hoses? We need some assistance here. We had to use seawater to help put out some of those fires. I'm sure there'd be a large group of Navy or even former Navy and personnel who would be like, yeah, here, this is what we do. These are the things you got to do step by step. Here you go. And they would have been more than willing to help you. No one tried.
By the power company,
100% no one tried.
And what they ultimately ended up doing at the behest of Gavin Newsom was working out a settlement where the people who were victimized by the fire were paid out in stock, which again is the company that was responsible for the fire. So what ultimately ended up happening to that stock was that it plunged immediately into the ground after it was given off
and most
to
of
these
the claims of
who
people
lost
went
their
bankrupt.
properties due to malfeasance from the state-connected power company. So those
California continuing to ruin everything since Gavin Newsom got in office.
People in those fires, as has been reported a multitude of times,
and to think people think he'll be a good president
on their property, even though those fires were years ago, and Gavin Newsom promised them a rebuild, an accelerated process, and all the same crap that they promised in the Palisades but never delivered on.
That's just behind us here, the huge wooden structure. It's amazing. I was here on Monday.
That's not amazing. That should be built already. Some of these homes, the lots of people are clear. If the people said, if you go up and you say, hey, for this cost of basically, the insurance payout that you'll get, we can rebuild your home as is. Or we can do a few modifications here and there because we have to start from scratch. And at this point, you can make that decision because it's not that hard to adjust a little plan here. Maybe you're like, oh, actually, there's a couple walls that we can just change up and have much better rooms that were, originally built in the 60s, 70s, 80s. And it's like, well, now that's out of style. We need something a little more modern, which, yeah, I'm sure a lot of these people would be grateful, but until the day they get to actually move in with their family, move their stuff in, and be sleeping in their home again, it's a nightmare for them. These houses should not still be framing. That if there's framing, it should be because you started building a couple days ago.
They have made so much
get
progress since
things
then.
going. Ask the Amish to come out and help build with you. They'll show you how to build something real fucking quick.
When was the last time you were here before this morning?
I was here on Saturday, and I came up to the site, and I wept with my incredible architect who also lost her home, Ava Sobeski, and my contractor, Unified Home Solutions. I honestly cannot believe this.
And now
Truly.
we're here Wednesday morning. And I wish that you could have seen when she drove up. She was like, oh my gosh, there's a house there. And you hadn't seen this yet.
I haven't seen it.
I wouldn't call that a house quite yet. That's a box with holes in it.
Yet. I hadn't seen the second story on. We've been basically running a marathon since January 7th. And I want everybody to know in the Palisades community that rebuilding is
At this point, there's still something that could screw this up and wipe that smile from her face. I wouldn't be smiling yet. I wouldn't be smiling until I get to walk in and not have to leave because they're still building.
Absolutely possible.
So make no mistake about it, while I am happy to hear some stories of some people having their properties rebuilt in some way, the majority of people who lost their homes during the Palisades fire will not experience this joy. It's just gone. They've been wiped out. They've been forced to sell their land for cheap because guess what? There's no chance that you're going to get the state of California and the city of Los Angeles to approve what they need to do in a timely manner for this community to be rebuilt. It's completely wiped off the map. And again, even these people that are celebrating right now the progress on their construction are in for a rude awakening when they go to inspection in order to get their certificates of occupancy, because in reality, as we found out through a recent Graham Stephan video, the city of Los Angeles does everything and anything to extract more capital at the end of the process and deny people the ability to rebuild their lives, because that's what this city is really all about. And by the way, Gavin Newsom right now is trying to blame the federal government for this, but make no mistake about it, Lee Zeldin over at the EPA rapidly approved everything that they needed to do in order to clear the debris, in order to get this stuff rebuilt. They were set up for success at the federal government level, but the city of Los
Yeah, it's the city and state level government that's fucking this whole thing up royally. If anybody has any reason to not vote for Gavin Newsom for any next level of office ever again, this should be it. Every single person in the California government at every bit of level. I don't care if you're just some secretary answering phone calls. At this point, you even need to go. Like, I do mean every person in the California government. Every person from senator all the way down to the mayors and their staff. Every level. Just replace all of them. All the judges out there too, all the court systems. Yeah, everything. Needs a hard reset. Because that state is just... Yeah, they might be the wealthiest state, but that is literally because they have a large amount of coastline. That's it. If they were sitting in the center of the nation, like fucking Kansas or Nebraska or something, they wouldn't be nearly as wealthy, and their crime rates would be so sky high that everybody in the nation would be like, all right, gonna go coast to coast and gonna go around that one there and ignore that whole fucked area.
Los Angeles and the state of California made a choice to not build on the advantages that they got from the federal government and to leave their residents to languish, to suffer, and not experience the full potential of their communities being restored because they don't give a damn about them. Again, it's all about posturing. If it doesn't help Gavin Newsom become president of the United States, he's not interested in it. And again, they have to feed the regulatory beast, this machine that, of course, exists in order to destroy, as we talked about recently in our video about Graham Stephan trying to get something that California is supposedly encouraging built in that particular city, and is shameful in every possible way. So yeah, this is your update on the Palisades fire. They screwed the people over. Who is surprised?
Yep.
Absolutely
I'm not
me,
surprised.
But it's still
I predicted this back in
now, of course,
January.
I want to know what you guys think about this down in the comments below. As per usual, if you like this video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social media, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about madness post the Palisades.
Yeah, like you said, hit that subscribe button, get that like button. His video's down in the description below. And yeah, if anyone could give me a reason why how California's governor would be a good president, I'm all ears. I'm waiting. But at this very moment, he has ruined that state. He has sent them from being worth over $15 billion to being negative $65 billion. He has made that state lose $70 billion in valuation since he became governor. They are so negative. They are in such a deficit. I don't know how the state is allowed to continue running. I don't know how he hasn't been chased out of office with pitchforks and torches yet. It is kind of crazy to see the state allowed to be, sitting as it is today, or the state to see how it is today, and to see this city not get more riled up against their government because of these things is kind of crazy. If it were my house burned down and I'm like, I can't move back in, I can't go anywhere, there's an empty lot here, the house could be built, but you're not letting me build, my permit's sitting in limbo, I would be up there mad. I would look like a madman. I would look so crazy they would arrest me. But anyways, I hope you have enjoyed, and you have a wonderful day, and I will see you back here tomorrow. I'll give you a little spoiler for tomorrow. We're doing Neighbor from Hell finally gets a visit from police from Code Blue Cam, because I love body cam footage. It's so fun to watch. See the crazies out there, and to, remind you to thank a cop for dealing with crazy individuals day to day.